Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relationship Circle podcast. I'm your host, Beck Thompson, and this podcast is all about getting you to stop running in circles, ditch those games, and let your inner compass lead the way. Today, we're talking about a delicate topic, a big one that has been on a lot of my clients' lips lately, and that is breakups. And I want to talk about something a little bit different with breakups because from an outside perspective, I see some absolute magic that can be drawn from breakups. And I want to give you this lens, this way of looking at breakups to have you think about them a little bit differently. I know it's harder when you're in them yourself, right? As opposed to me being on the outside. But breakups can be really magical and they really are a magical portal. And so whether this is an old breakup that keeps kind of bumping up to the surface, whether this is really fresh and raw, breakups kind of have this magic way of bringing everything back up to the surface that you hadn't looked at yet. And although they hurt, they hold so much wisdom and so much knowledge. And so I want to talk to you about how can we tap into the knowledge that comes from breakups, even when things feel really fresh and raw. So let's start here because sometimes people, when they break up, think, oh my God, it's happened again. And I want to reinforce that you're not broken. You're not starting from scratch. You're not repeating the same thing. You would have had lessons that come out from it. And so really, we're going to look at what can you do differently in the next relationship from what you've learnt about in this relationship. And so I know sometimes a lot of people, when they come to me and they talk about breakups, they're like, what could I have done differently? If only I had, and it's usually they blame themselves in a way that's kind of self-deprecating. If only I'd given more, if only I'd not said that thing, if only blah, 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 blah. When in reality, when I often look at with them, I'm like, what if you had spoken up? What if you had expressed your needs? What if you had put boundaries in place? That's often the lessons that come out of it. Whereas people are often thinking, maybe I shouldn't have said that thing. If only I had acted differently. If only I'd done this, blah, 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 blah. Maybe it'd have worked. So after the breakup, you're feeling really raw and emotional and everything is kind of, raw is the best way to describe it, really. Everything's really open, right? So once you kind of ride that emotional wave a little bit and you come out of it, when you're in that emotional wave, I would take down some notes. I would do some journaling, do some thinking, have some thought processes around what happened in that relationship. And this is your chance to meet yourself again. This is your chance to reflect on what you wish you had done differently from the very beginning. And not in a space of, oh, you're an idiot, you should have done differently. You didn't have the knowledge, right? So I don't need you to feel guilt or shame or anger about not doing these things, but instead it's like, how can I learn from what happened to do differently in the future? So this is your invitation to ask the questions that you might have been too afraid to ask in the beginning. And so some of the questions might be like, what did I tolerate that maybe I shouldn't have? What did I ignore that maybe I shouldn't have? And what do I want in my next relationship? What do I want it to look like, feel like, be like? How do I want to be treated in the next relationship, right? Have a think back to what kind of things did you see red flags earlier that you kind of ignored? Did you see things going, hello, this doesn't sound so right, but you went, it's okay, it might get better. What kind of things did you ignore there that you wish you'd seen earlier? Because the magical part about breakups is that you once you've ridden that emotional wave, there's clarity that comes in. There's big clarity around what you wish you could have done differently. And this is what I want you to take note of before the magic disappears. Because right now, if you're in the middle of the breakup, you're in this magical portal, right? And some of the questions that I ask my clients when they're experiencing post-breakup is where was it that you had stayed silent where you wish you'd spoken up? Where was it that you felt like you abandoned parts of yourselves to keep the peace? Where was it were there moments where you stayed silent where you wish you'd spoken up? And did you feel safe to fully be you? And if not, what got in the way of that? Because sometimes it's you, sometimes it's how the other person treats you, but what was in the way of you not feeling safe to be you? Because in every relationship, particularly an intimate partner relationship, you need to feel safe to be you. All the quirky, funny, little bits of you I want the person to see them, all of you, and love them. And you get to take the knowledge that you've learned and say, I know now. I get to choose better now. I get to ask for what I need in a relationship. I get to set boundaries in a relationship. I can do all of this early on, and my voice deserves to be heard. So take all of these learnings that you've got from the past relationship to push you forward into the next one. Not that you're ready for that now. I get it. So I know you're not meant to be ready for the next relationship yet. I actually don't want you to jump from one relationship to another, to another, to another, because that's avoidance and distracting, and you're not actually dealing with what's happening. And it's how so often we repeat the patterns over and over and over again because we don't take time to do the stock take. And this is what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to take the time to do the stock take so things are different next time. This is the beginning of how we stop repeating patterns, which is what I'm so passionate about with all of my clients, right? So what I get, people come to me all the time. It's like, I'm repeating the same pattern. I'm repeating the same pattern, whatever that pattern is. And we need to go underneath that pattern and find out why you're repeating that pattern and stop it from happening. Stop it from happening now. Every action you take, everything you do stops it from happening. You get to choose every second of every day what you do going forward. And this space in between where the breakups happened and when you maybe want to re-enter another relationship is your chance to rebuild your self-trust. Because so often when we look back at these situations and we think, oh, I ignored those red flags that I saw, that it kind of grates against our own self-trust and our own feeling that we can do this next time. You know, will I be able to spot the signs? Will I be able to say no? Will I be able to, speak up and say what I need? I always say to my clients, don't worry, you've got me for that. However, if you're not working with me, you've got yourself for that, and you can do that for yourself. So this is your chance where you get to rebuild self-trust, where you get to reconnect with what you need, and you get to redefine your standards of what you're okay with and not okay with. And like I've said many, many, many times, the earlier you can express these needs and boundaries in relationships, the better it will be. Because one, it gives the other person an opportunity to get to know you. You get to see how they respond to you expressing those needs and boundaries, and you get to see, am I okay with the way they responded? Do I need to give them feedback for that? Am I happy with that? Did I feel respected? Do I feel safe? That's really important when you go into the next relationship, but I know you're not there yet. So it is the perfect time for you to sit with yourself and rebuild this self-trust within yourself. And if you're listening to this and you think, oh, but Beck, I don't even know who I am outside of this relationship. Like this relationship consumed me and now I don't even know who I am. Cool. Perfect. What a beautiful place to start. What an exciting opportunity to get to know who you are. Because if we're going to be really honest, everybody has this opportunity every day. I can wake up tomorrow and decide that I'm going to be a different person, that I'm going to make different choices, that I'm going to do different things in life, that I don't want to do relationships anymore. I'm going to try this. Like everybody gets that opportunity, but you have a blank slate to create. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be moving forward? And what do you want that to look like? And if you don't know, go out there, experiment with things, go try new hobbies, try doing new things. You don't have to get back to who you were before that relationship. Think about who you want to be going forward, future focused. And if I can leave you with a few powerful questions that you can ask yourself going forward, and you don't have to answer them all right now, but just write them down so that you've got them and you're ready to reflect on them when you get the chance. It's, what did this relationship teach me about myself? Where did I abandon myself to keep this relationship going? What red flags did I ignore and why? What green flags do I now want to actively seek out in my next relationship? And how can I be more honest and more expressive and more me in my next relationship? So take those questions, ponder on them a little bit. If you're going through a breakup, if you know a friend going through a breakup, send this to them. And if not, save it in case you do, because breakups are part of relationships. And sometimes that's scary that we put our heart out there and we don't know that we might get hurt. But when you experience love, like for me, that's feels like it's worth any breakup because it's so powerful and so beautiful. So I want the breakup to be a lesson around how you can do differently next time to support your own self-worth. All right, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you got value from this, please don't hesitate to share with a friend so they can get value from this too. And don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss an episode. It's also how I keep this podcast alive.
Audience exclusive.